So you don't call Trump Hitler, and you don't call the Republicans Nazis. But when you say the word fascist, as you say, the meaning of that word has been eroded. That's where most people's minds is going to go, right?
So what do you guys tell me, what should I call his obvious dictatorial tendencies?
And
his obvious over-the-top racism.
You know what? Actually, this is a really great question, because what I'd love for you to do is, and this is a genuine question, I'm not trying to catch you out or anything like that. I genuinely am interested. I have heard a lot of rhetoric from people about Donald Trump and the concerns that they have about the next 4 years. And, you know, people use words like fascist, dictatorial, etc. What do you fear over the next 4 years he is going to do that makes you say in the present moment that he's dictatorial, fascist? What is he going to do you think?
Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? Cenk Uygur recently sat down with the hosts of the Triggernometry podcast, Konstantin, Kisin and Foster. When Cenk Uygur was challenged to explain exactly how Donald Trump is going to be a dictator, he gave, arguably, the most feeble answer ever. With that, let's watch as Cenk Uygur fails to offer any real evidence and makes an absolute fool of himself on Triggernometry. Let's go.
You don't call Trump Hitler, and you don't call the Republicans Nazis. But when you say the word fascist, as you say, the meaning of that word has been eroded. That's where most people's minds is going to go, right?
So what do you guys tell me, what should I call his obvious dictatorial tendencies?
And
his obvious over-the-top racism.
You know what? Actually, this is a really great question, because what I'd love for you to do is, and this is a genuine question, I'm not trying to catch you out or anything like that. I genuinely am interested. I have heard a lot of rhetoric from people about Donald Trump and the concerns that they have about the next 4 years. And, you know, people use words like fascist, dictatorial, etc. What do you fear over the next 4 years he is going to do that makes you say in the present moment that he's dictatorial, fascist? What is he going to do you think?
Yeah. So again, I don't know that he's going to do it, because there's countervailing forces.
What do you fear?
And I think the countervailing forces are super interesting, and we should talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see which way the right wing goes in this country under Trump. But the worst case scenario is he gets frazzled and feels challenged, and he falls back on what he always does, which is just protect his ego. And so he starts pilfering, and that's very much in his nature. Grab, take, because now there's no accountability. What are you going to do? Impeach him? What are you going to do? Arrest him? No accountability. There's no brakes in the car. So we're all at his mercy.
Sorry to interrupt, but this is important for clarity. What do you mean by pilfering? He's going to be pilfering and pilfering.
Okay, so easy examples, but there's a million of these. He puts Jared Kushner in charge of the Middle East last time around, and Saudi Arabia. Jared Kushner at some point goes to Saudi Arabia, talks to Mohammed bin Salman, and right afterwards, Mohammed bin Salman arrests a whole bunch of people. Okay, I don't want to get into too much into what happened in that meeting and what the results were, but whatever it was, Mohammed bin Salman was super pleased, because right after the election, he gives Jared Kushner $2 billion to manage, but he gets 2 and 20 on that. So if you know private equity and how that works, what that means is he's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. So if Hunter Biden got a $2 billion deal from the Saudis after Joe Biden left office, I was like, Hunter Biden's not a Ukrainian gas expert. That's nuts. Okay, and that was $5 million.
So you're fearing about Donald Trump and the concerns that they have. Rhetoric from people. I have heard a lot of rhetoric.
Forces are super interesting. We should talk about easy. If Hunter Biden got a $2 billion deal from the Saudis after Joe Biden left office, I was like, Hunter Biden's not a Ukrainian gas expert. That's nuts. Okay, and that was
Hey, if you like watching videos like these, like, subscribe, and blah, blah, blah. Let's get back to the video.
$5 million.
So your fear number one is that his family will benefit financially from his president, and him will benefit financially.
And his donors, most of all his donors.
What else?
Okay, so that's, but to be fair to Trump, like part of the reason the establishment hates him is because he's systemically and personally corrupt, whereas they're just largely systemically corrupt.
I'm accepting all this for the sake of argument without challenging, because I just want you to get to like the real fascism that he's going to do that you worry.
So the reason I'm saying that is because since most of the politicians are systemically corrupt anyway, that's not the fascism.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So where's the fascism?
So he says, I'm going to deport all the undocumented immigrants. So some people might say, yeah, good. Rip them out of their homes, 13, 15 million people, whatever it is. Oh, they're running a diner. They're beloved in their neighborhood. They married an American citizen. Whatever they did, I don't care. And, oh, their kids are American citizens. Rip them away from their babies and send them the goddamn back home. Now, that's a debatable point as to whether that's fascism. My guess is that once if he starts doing it, and you start seeing people ripped out of their homes, that people are going to go, oh, that don't look good.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, okay, we're going to find out. He might not. We're going to find out.
But
okay?
if he was to, let's say, I think the more likely scenario, I don't know if you agree with Cenk, but I think it's possible that this is the more likely scenario, is he deports all the people who've committed a crime in this country, who are illegal immigrants, right? People not only came here legally, but have committed a crime, and people who don't have American family and don't have dependents here. Let's say he was to deport all those people. Would that be fascism in your view?
I don't even know if he deported all the undocumented immigrants, it would be fascism.
Have you noticed a shift in tone here from Cenk? I seem to remember a guy screaming and yelling that he's a wannabe dictator and he's going to end the country. Now I see a guy saying, I'm not saying he's going to do it. He's very fluid with his positions. He says something's definitively going to happen. Then he says, well, it might not happen. And then he might change it again. It kind of goes back and forth. This guy's number one goal in life is to be a modern day Nostradamus, which he is far from. But he does this manipulation of his words and his stance all the time. So after all the dust settles and all sorts of different things have happened, he can spin the scenario somehow to say, see, I was right again. I'm just telling you that we're the best place to come to for news because we tell you how it is. If you followed this guy at all, that is the script every single time. And it's so transparent right here. I think the questions from the guys from Triggernometry are great, specifically for Cenk, the voice of the progressives, because normal people, average Americans in the country, may be saying, wow, I see all these people melting down about Donald Trump on the internet, but I don't exactly know what they're so worried about. So this is a great opportunity for him to articulate exactly why everyone should be so concerned and really put the American people on high alert. How do you think he's doing so far? Before we get back to the video, I want to point out something that Konstantin said there that has bothered me forever, and I think we all know it, but I just need to say it. So Konstantin was referring to the word fascist, and he said the meaning of that word has been eroded. And I've been meaning to make this point forever. The same thing has happened with the word racist. When you call everything fascist or racist, you take the seriousness and severity out of the words, and they become watered down. And the big consequences I see are, I don't know how to describe it better than the boy who cried wolf phenomenon, right? If you keep saying racist, 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 fascist, 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 and people look and it's not racist, it's not fascist, then what happens when there is a serious incident that something is racist or fascist? People don't believe you anymore, and it might be overlooked, and that would be a real tragedy. The left and progressives especially either understand how bad their rhetoric is for society as a whole, or they're just so dumb that they don't realize it. And as much as I'd like to say they're all dumb, I don't think that's the case. So unfortunately, I think it's probably the former, which is sad. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Right.
Stipulating
okay,
to
so
that.
let's get to the fascism, though, because this is what I want to get to, right?
And by the way, people who committed crimes should obviously be deported.
Right.
No one disagrees with that. So then the thing that I'm concerned about is both him and the potential attorney general saying, if you're on a campus and you're protesting Trump, you're protesting Israel, you're protesting the oil companies, you're protesting something we don't like, arrest and deport you. Wait, what happened to cancel culture? I mean, arresting someone for protesting or voicing their speech is the most both cancel culture you could do. I mean, you're taking the guy's freedom away, right?
Yeah, agreed. But
deporting people that are American citizens. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, you can't do that. But did he do any of that in his first term?
So he didn't. He didn't do that. Okay. But so and that's why I say, guys, when he's running, he threatens to do total complete shutdown of Muslims. Yeah. He threatens to arrest and deport people, etc. But he didn't necessarily do it. So for example, they said lock her up, and then he got into office and he said, no, I'm not locking Hillary Clinton up. So I have an open mind. But when he threatens those type of things, I go, I am deeply, deeply concerned. Now, here's other things.
Okay.
So they had a 3-hour meeting after he lost the election. where Michael Flynn and I believe Sidney Powell, don't quote me on that, I don't want to get sued, okay, but definitely Michael Flynn said, let's use martial law. Let's roll out the tanks, okay? And we won this election, and we're going to correct the fraud, and let's go grab the actual ballot machines, okay? And Trump was like, okay, now I'm listening. Now we're having a conversation. And that's why it lasted 3 hours.
So you
At the end, hold on.
No, hold on. You're talking about something that already happened. I'm asking you about the future. Let's just stick with that.
No, but that's totally relevant.
No, well, I'm sure, which is why I'm asking you the question to follow up. So do you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, he's not going to relinquish power? Is that what you're saying?
So since he didn't relinquish power last time, yes.
Well, ultimately he did, but you fear...
Oh, come on, guys.
Fine, let's accept that for the sake of argument again. So you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, when he can no longer run for election again, you fear that he will not hand over the presidency.
A guy who said, let's terminate the Constitution, considered martial law, and had a fake elector plot to steal an election, might he try to stay in power? Of course, he tried to do it once.
Well, that's good. So we got to. So you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, he will not vacate the White House.
That is one of my concerns, absolutely, and that alone is a deal breaker.
Well, it'd be a deal breaker for anyone, left and right, no question.
Except it wasn't, because he already tried to do it, and the right was like, no big deal, no big deal.
I don't think that's
it was a giant deal.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite true. But anyway, that's your big concern.
So that's number one. Number two is the reason I was telling you about martial law is because he's also said, let's use the military to shoot the protesters in the legs. Let's use the National Guard to arrest citizens, etc. When you're talking about arresting or shooting U.S. citizens and you using the military to do that, because you don't like their protests, and you could be livid about their protests. It doesn't matter.
Sure, it's
we have a right to protest.
Of course.
And when he says that, and he has definitively said that and said it on the record, if you go and do that, now that there are no brakes in the car, and there is no General Milley, and there is no General Kelly, and they're not going to be able to stop him. If he does that, do you guys agree that would be fascism?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
So your great concerns are just, to replay it for people, and then I'll hand over to Francis, are, number one, at the end of the 4-year term that he currently has, he's not going to hand over the presidency, number one. And number two, he is going to be deeply un-American about the way he handles free speech and the right to protest and the right to free assembly. In other words, he will take protesters and strip them of citizenship. He will have the army shoot them. He will imprison people for turning up on a college campus and burning an American flag, let's say. Those are your two main kind of this is the fascism that might happen. Have I got you right?
That's right. And I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I'm saying
concern.
he has said those things.
That's your concern.
And it makes me concerned that he will do those things.
Okay.
So Cenk's been given this amazing platform to explain to everyone why Donald Trump will be a dictator. Obviously, they're giving him ample time to explain himself. They're not interrupting him. So you think he'd be really prepared to come with an answer that will make people think, wow, I need to really rethink my position on Trump. This is scary. Let's quickly go through his reasons why Donald Trump will be a dictator / fascist. His first one, to enrich himself and his family. I won't go through everything they said because at the end, Cenk even agreed, well, that's not really fascism. They all do that. I'd love to get into it deeper. For example, how Donald Trump's the first president ever to lose money while being the president. I mean, come on. But we've got more to get to. Number two, he's going to deport all the undocumented immigrants. Well, first of all, yeah, that's what he ran on. But I need to point out that he goes to a tried and true TYT tactic. He paints the gloomiest, saddest, most depressing picture of immigrants and pretends it's reality. 10 million plus illegal immigrants have come here in the last 4 years. That's not that long. You're suggesting that they're running diners, living with a white picket fence in suburbia? If so, they've achieved the American dream fast. And again, it's the words he uses, rip people out of their homes and away from their families. Even the Triggernometry guys say, I don't think he's going to rip people out of their homes. Now, as for me, I don't know exactly how it's going to go down, but I would bet dollars to donuts that it won't go down close to how Cenk is describing it. What will happen, however, and be prepared for this, is the news will cherry pick singular stories out of millions and talk about how this person is a pillar of the community and the greatest person anyone's ever met, and they work 3 jobs and their mother just died and they feed the needy on the weekends. You won't hear about the hundreds of thousands that we should all be thanking the Lord we got out of our country. And them all agreeing if they've committed a crime, they should be deported. Well, no kidding. but no one's been enforcing immigration laws that are on the books. I mean, Donald Trump, what a fascist. How dare he enforce laws? Even Cenk acknowledges at the end, again, that if Donald Trump deported all illegal immigrants, that probably wouldn't be fascist. So let's do a quick update. Again, given a great opportunity to tell everyone why they should be scared of Donald Trump. The first 2 points he made voluntarily, he ended both of those points by saying, well, that's not really fascism. All right, maybe it gets better with the next one. So his third point, if you're on campus protesting and burning flags and being violent and acting like a-holes, you'll just be deported. Citizens and non-citizens. No one's deporting citizens, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, I don't know how non-citizens will be treated. The empathetic side of me says I can see a student from another country that got caught up in the frenzy and made one mistake. Okay, maybe they don't need to be deported. But then the other side of me says, okay, if they just got here from another country to study in the United States and they're already rioting, already burning flags, already acting like lunatics, first of all, how ungrateful can you possibly be to be here in our country studying? And second, again, they just got here. Isn't this just a preview as to how they'll act as they grow up? Why would we want them here? To get more radicalized as they get older? So Cenk, my man, he didn't do any of that in his first term. So again, we're back to you making all these speculations based on words, not actions. All right, so that was point number 3. Pretty weak. He's saying he's going to deport American citizens if they protest on campuses. Ain't gonna happen. Why am I even humoring this right now? All right, so he's 0 for 3. His fourth point was that there was a conversation after the 2020 election between him, General Flynn, and Sidney Powell or something like that, that lasted for 3 hours. And they talked about martial law. And he said, now we're talking. That's his whole point. A conversation that you heard happened. I don't even know what to do with that. That says that he's going to enact martial law in this country. We're not spending any more time on that. It's so stupid. And his fifth point, he's not going to relinquish power because he didn't last time. You saw Konstantin say, well, he did. And Cenk's only answer was, come on, guys. Come on what? He wasn't happy about it, but Joe Biden took over the presidency and has run the country into the ground, but there was a transfer of power there. This is the only real fascist thing that he suggested. And as usual, sorry to repeat myself, it's based on hearsay, words, and lies. Such a weak case. Cenk is a complete joke. If you didn't believe that before, which I don't know how you didn't, but he is. Anytime I think maybe I'm being a little hard on him, I hear another interview with him that tells me he deserves every amount of ridicule he gets. To suggest he won't abdicate power, Cenk, my man is effing exhausted, okay? I promise you, he'll be very happy to hand off the country in good shape to JD or Vivek or whomever. After these 4 years and everything he's been through, Trump will be done, man. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you want to watch more woke progressive idiots like Cenk spew nonsensical ramblings about how Trump is Hitler, then click on one of the 2 videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, I really, really appreciate you being here today. The end.